Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are all well. England are in the quarterfinals and they take on Ukraine tonight, 8 p.m. kickoff in Rome with no England fans inside the stadium. But we will all be watching at home in the UK, whether it's at home in the fan zones, wherever. But firstly, over to you, Sean. Thoughts on Ukraine?
They've sort of gone about their business a bit quietly, haven't they? I think they have only 3 points in the group. Was it? I think 1 win. Am I wrong? Two wins. But I don't think they come from the toughest group. I think it's obviously very easy to underestimate them, but that's what we do as English fans. So
Yeah.
I'm confident they shouldn't be too much of a problem. We should get the job done, I think, personally.
Yeah. Joshua, your thoughts on Ukraine firstly then?
Yeah, I think against Sweden, it wasn't an outstanding performance, but they got the job done. I think that's all that matters for them. They didn't expect to be in the quarterfinal now, but I think they do have bits of qualities in Zinchenko. Yarmolenko doesn't do it for West Ham, but he does for his country. So I think in quality we're easily better than them, but you never know with England. There's been a lot of times we lost to Iceland in the last Euro, so you never know. But yeah, I do feel really confident that we should beat them. We definitely have a lot more quality than them.
Yeah. Sean, just before we came on, we both said we've got this weird feeling that we're confident and it's almost not right in a way.
I know. I think because Southgate's changed it, we're not like an excited, flashy looking team, really, are we? We don't look overly exciting, but we look organised. We look like a team that's always going to get their job done, which I don't think we're that used to, because we've always demanded like a flair from the England team. Like, we've almost changed how we're playing, like Harry Kane's playing almost as well. It's strange he's changed it this late in the day, but it's turned us into a unit where you are confident. Like, we don't look like we're going to be rolled over.
Yeah, I agree. And Josh, we've got Gareth Southgate's put in this discipline in a way where we're not playing as Sean said, expansive, brilliant football, but we're getting the 1-0s over the line in the end, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like how Greece won it, I believe, a few years ago when they had a really defensive team, but they were winning every game 1-0, just with a really good defensive displays. So I think it's not what we used to, like you said, but I think as long as we get the job done, it doesn't really matter, because when I saw the lineup against Germany, there was 3 attackers, Sterling, Kane and Saka. Apart from that, every other player was a defender or defensive midfield. I thought we had no chance, but it worked. So I don't think the style of play is very good, but as long as we get the job done, I don't really care, to be honest.
So now, Sean, we have done all right, but do you now, when the starting lineup will come out at 7 o'clock tonight, are you going to have full confidence in whatever Gareth Southgate does? Do you think for you he's shown that we need to and we can back him every single time?
I think we have to be a little bit confident with him. I think as Englishmen, men and women, we love to bash the manager, don't we? As soon as we get a bad result or two, Southgate out. I've had a few wobbles, I won't lie. Even in this tournament, a few of the starting lineups have had a few wobbles. But you've got to back him. You've got to feel a little bit confident. Like, when the starting lineup comes out, I'm not expecting any more than 3 or 4 attack-minded players, really. I'm expecting the likes of Grealish to be on the bench again, probably, and people to moan about that. But he's using the likes of Grealish as a super sub, and it's working. So why change it? What he's doing, he's grinding it out. I think performance is slowly getting better. So you've got to back the manager, and you've got to trust him that he's going to get it right. You've got to.
Yeah, and we are also joined now all the way from the day's banter show. Here he is, Steve. How are you?
Morning, Jakey boy. Oh, you got me out of bed this morning, son. I'm in the Russian dogs around the park and everything. Your dad didn't tell me you're doing a show till 11:15. Mine.
Straight over to you then, Steve. Thoughts on Ukraine then going into the game later on?
what we got to be careful of is not underestimating them, mate. I think because half the country's already going, "Oh, we beat Ukraine, we beat this one." When we start doing that, we get stuffed. So I think we got to be a little bit cautious. I'd keep the same team as started against Germany. I know everybody's crying for Jack Grealish to play, but you win tournaments with a good bench, mate. And I think we got to go the same as we went against the Germans. The last thing we need to do is go a goal down. England haven't lost the goal yet, haven't conceded a goal. So let's play that way. Because you win tournaments by not conceding goals, just as much as scoring them. You know what I mean? And it's harder to change the game when you're 1-0 down. Or sometimes if you have a little slip after 1-0 down and go 2-0 down, all of a sudden you're out the tournament, you know? So caution to the wind, mate, I think.
Yeah. We will move on to some starting lineups then, and Steve, because you mentioned on it there then, would you change anything going into the game from the Germany game? Any changes for you? Steve?
Me?
Yeah.
No changes, mate. I wouldn't change anything. I'd start with the same team that started against the Germans. I think Saka proved himself in the first 45 minutes against the Germans. He ran them ragged down the right there, didn't he? They didn't know what, they couldn't cope with him. And the only thing I'd be half tempted to change, to be honest, would be Harry Kane. Right? I can't stand the bloke, to be honest. But not personally, but just I don't know, mate. There's something about it, but hopefully he'll come into a bit of form. You know, he did get a goal, didn't he? So that's the one nagging thing for me. Southgate being very stubborn against everybody calling for somebody else rather than Kane. And Gareth Southgate, well, he names him a week before the match now, doesn't he?
Yeah. So Sean, let's walk through your starting lineup. I can see you having a smile at Steve's comments about Harry Kane there, but we'll get into your 11. So, talk us through it then. So Pickford in goal, backfield Shaw, Stones, Maguire, and Walker. Phillips, Mount, and Henderson in the middle. Noticeably no Declan Rice in the middle of midfield there. Sterling, Kane, and Saka up front. Talk us through that then, Sean.
Well, he's got the choice to go whether he's going to go back to a back four or stick with a three, obviously. I don't think he will change. I think he changed a little bit to match up with the Germans a little bit. I think he'll go back to a four. What no one else has mentioned on this show so far is we've got 4 bookings. And Southgate has got a decision to make because the bookings get wiped after this game. So we've got Maguire, Rice, Foden, and who am I forgetting? Phillips. We've got 4 players on yellow cards. If they get booked, any of them start today and they get booked, they will miss the semi-final. Okay? And this is not underestimating Ukraine because I think our squad is very evenly balanced. I think you could quite easily take out Rice or Phillips this game, pop Henderson in there, and it would make very little difference. And some might say, pick your best team. Don't worry about the bookings. If they happen, they happen. But having 4... who are probably, I think what Rice has been brilliant. I don't like how deep he's playing him, but he's clearly very, very important to how we set up. I would just sit him out for this game because I think he's the sort of player that we're going to really need in a tougher game. Yeah, and so obviously Mount's a Southgate favourite, one of Southgate's favourites. So I would probably pop him in the midfield. I think he started the first game. And the front 3, I think it's the same that started against the Germans. Saka, he runs his socks off. I think what Kane has done well in this tournament, which a lot of people aren't really paying attention to, is his runs. He occupies 2 centre halves. So the likes of Saka, Sterling, Grealish, they automatically then find more space around him. And so Kane's maybe looked a little bit leggy. I think he didn't do too bad against the Germans. I think he had a good first half against the Czechs. But the reality is he's probably still the first name on the team sheet. I know he's missed a couple of sort of quite good chances, got 1 goal. But if we want the ball to land to any Englishman in our land, you want it to land to Harry Kane. So, yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. It is a good point. But in terms of Declan Rice, I do see why you take him take him out there, and he has been brilliant. Of course, he's on the yellow card, but I just think if we take him out, I could see why he'd do it with the precaution, but I just don't think Jordan Henderson would bring the transition from the defence to the midfield to the attack.
Maybe not.
That Declan Rice. Oh, we just lost Josh again there. But that Declan Rice does, but I could see why he did it. Why he would do it. Steve, would you?
Just a quick question for an old man here, Jake. Right, Sean might be able to answer. These yellow cards, then, when do they get ruled out?
After the quarterfinals.
So if you got booked today, you missed the semi-final.
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay.
They changed the rule in a couple of tournaments ago because they didn't like players missing the finals or bookings.
Right, okay. I thought it was they didn't matter today, but no, good point, mate. I haven't thought about that.
Remember Gaza in 1990?
Yeah. I remember that, mate. Yeah, it's just I thought they got ruled out. If you got booked today, it wouldn't matter because you. But I get it now, mate. So you miss basically you carry on today, and then you miss the semi-final, but you'd be able to get back in for the final.
That's right. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay, mate. That makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense for your team selection, then, Sean. I bow to your knowledge, young
man. Josh, we'll move on to your 11 then. So, Pickford in goal, Shaw, Stones, Maguire and Trippier at right back, Foden, Rice and Mount in the middle, and a front three, Sterling, Kane, and of course, it could only be one man, Jack Grealish. Talk us through that then, Josh. Why have you made those choices?
Yeah, well, the first one that you wouldn't agree with would probably be Trippier over Walker. And that's because I just feel like Walker, he's got a mistake in him, hasn't he? Like, sometimes at that vital moment, he could make a really big mistake that could, like, cost us the game or something. Whereas Trippier, I'd say, is a more reliable option. So I've gone with Trippier, because if we get a free kick as well, then Trippier's the one to put on it. So I went with Trippier right back because of that. Maguire and Stones at the back, no one really questions that, I don't think. Shaw at left back, he set up the goal for the first one against Germany, didn't he? So he's good going forward and defensively, he's got to keep him in. Right in the defensive midfield, I know if he gets one more booking, then he will be ruled out for the semi if we do beat Ukraine. But I've kept him in anyway, you've got to keep him in. I reckon Southgate will still play Rice and Phillips, but I've went with Foden and Mount anyway. I think Foden hasn't had the greatest of the tournament so far, but you've still got to go with him. He is a really good player on his day. And Mount, I think he's guaranteed to start. He's one of Southgate's favourites, as we know. Sterling, he's got to be one because he's our top scorer so far, isn't he? So you've got to stick with him. Although his performances haven't been that great, he's scoring the goal for us, so you've got to keep him in. And Grealish, I don't think Southgate will pick him, but I've got to pick him. He set up Kane's goal. Every time he's come off the bench, he's done well for us. For me, he has to start. Although I think Southgate won't, he has to start for me. And obviously Harry Kane up front, who hopefully has found a bit of form now and can start banging him in for us. So I think he will make a few changes to that, but I think for me, that's our strongest 11.
Do you think, Josh, that's a little bit harsh on Bukayo Saka, do you think?
Yeah, I did think against Czech Republic he was unbelievable. I was saying he has to start for Germany. And I thought he didn't do anything wrong against Germany, but I just don't think he was like as good as he was against Czech Republic. But so I was considering him as a starter, but I'm not sure. I just think that Grealish, Saka's a great player, but Grealish, he's done it more consistently like over the years, whereas Saka, I think in the future he's going to be great, but for now I think he's only 19 or 20, isn't he? So I think for now, in the big games, you've got to go with the ones who you know what you're getting with. Whereas Saka, he's a very good player, I've said that, but he's sometimes inconsistency in big games. So you've got to go with Grealish. But yeah, I do think Saka in the future is going to be a really good player.
Steve, we know the donkey is going to have some impact somewhere, don't we?
He's not a donkey, mate, but he's hopefully he'll blow hot and cold. And he's done his hot, and I think this will be his cold game, like he does at West Ham, mate. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't ride a full season. I tell you what, that young lad's mother's a good looker, isn't she? What's her name, mate? Come on the show, my love. Lucky now. I'd have put my makeup on if I know we were having some Donny Birds on the show today, Jake. Zinchenko, good player, mate. He's, I don't think he'd be a big threat to us today, to be honest, because he's playing a stronger side, to be honest. Mate, what are you lot laughing at?
Hey, your Wi-Fi connection, because we can barely hear what you're saying. But anyway.
All right, okay. I was just saying about that young, sexy blonde we got on the show today, Jake. There's a bit of eye candy on the show. Can we make this show go on a bit longer?
Steve, behave. Right then. Deary me. So we will move on then. To you then, Sean. Is there anybody talking to Zinchenko, Yarmolenko that you fear going into this game?
No, not really. They're I can remember a bit like the Czechs, a bit like the Danes, more of like a good sort of unit. Do you know what I mean? They've probably got a very good team spirit. Sort of that's like driving them on a bit, but individually, not really. No, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't take any of their players to come into our team, would you? So, no, you got to be confident. You've got to be confident with this.
Yeah. And Josh, anybody you're fearing?
Probably Zinchenko, because the only tactic Ukraine the other night was just give it to Zinchenko. He'll put it in the box and see what you get with it. So I think Zinchenko probably by far their best player. Yarmolenko scored a couple. So I think he might have a good game. He'll probably score against us, and that'll be typical for you West Ham fans. But I think probably Zinchenko is by far the best player, isn't he? But he's definitely got well more quality than them, haven't we? So I'm feeling quite confident.
Yeah, right. Let's move on to our predictions then. We will go round. We'll start with you then, Sean. Your prediction.
2-0. Another sort of workmanlike display, clean sheet. I'd like to think they won't create too many chances. They probably have one or two. I can see it. I don't want to say it, but I can see it being quite an easy game. I can see us just dealing with them quite easily. Yeah,
Josh.
I think I'm going for the 3-1 England win. I think that. I don't know why I said that, because with Southgate probably wouldn't score 3 goals, but I'm saying it anyway. I feel like we're going to win comfortably. I don't want to put the mockers on us or anything, but I feel like we definitely have. We're much better than them, aren't we? So I think Yarmolenko is going to score, but also we're going to score 3 goals. Kane, Grealish and Stones.
And Steve, finally.
I think we're cruising, mate. 2-0. Goal in the first half, goal in the second half, and I think Sterling to get both goals, mate. That's my prediction on the football. And my prediction on Josh's mum is...
Steve, behave.
Saturday morning.
Behave. Anyway, right then. So everybody's nicked my prediction, so I'm not going to bother. I will agree with Josh with 3-1. That was my original prediction. So I'm going to go 3-1 to the mighty England. So thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Josh, Steve, and Sean, thank you very much for coming on.
No worries, mate.
No worries, mate. It's my pleasure this morning. My pleasure.
We'll see you very, very soon. Come on, England. And good.